humanoids, Mr. Nooks and Crannies here. Today we are at Disney's Hollywood Studios, previously Disney MGM Studios. Now, everyone knows that Muppet Vision 3D will be closing soon, but people don't know that the Muppets actually started their journey here at Hollywood Studios. Show building right here with Here Comes the Muppets, and it was a mascot style show. Now, I happen to be good friends with the gentleman who played the original Fozzie Bear. That's right. So we're going to meet up for a little lunch, and he's going to tell us some stories of his days as Fozzie Bear. So why don't you grab your Waka Waka and head right this way. Right ahead, bro. Yep. All right, we are here at the ABC Commissary, sitting with an old friend, Mr. John Palmer. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you.
Excellent. Now, obviously the topic of this video is the Muppets and their history here at Hollywood Studios, previously MGM Studios. And I remember you spinning a few yarns back at our days at the DU desk that you might have had a hand in the Muppets' first coming here to Disney MGM Studios. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure, yeah. Yarns, probably the right word for Muppets. I've used a few of those. But yeah, I moved here from Louisiana in '89 of November, and the park had opened in May of that year. And I was working at the Great Movie Ride, where I was a Muggsy gangster, which was fun. And then word came down that the Muppets were coming in, and that was pretty exciting. I mean, I love the Muppets, as do lots and lots of people, and so they were going to be doing a show. They were putting a show in our park, so it was super exciting. And so a lot of us went and had interviews to help out and work on the show, and then it worked out that I got picked to help on this new show. It's going to be called Here Come The Muppets. And it had Kermit and Piggy and Fozzie and Gonzo and Bean Bunny and Electric Mayhem. It had like Dr. Teeth and Zoot and Animal and Floyd. And I was one of the first few people that got to work with Fozzie Bear putting this show together. And I mean, it was really, really cool because like Jim Henson was there, you know, his wife, his son Brian, and his daughter, and like their whole team, plus like all the original voice and puppeteers.
Wow.
Came down too to help us, you know, when we were working with the different characters and
get the vibes
getting the vibe and the timing and, you know, just helping get it all down. And that in itself, just meeting these people was, you know, something you never thought you would get to do.
Yeah, I didn't think about that aspect in you in a full body costume. Or the people that brought these characters to life for this particular show would be doing a full body version of puppeteering as well too.
Right.
So to have those original performers at hand there for follow up on the movements and so forth and so on. That's interesting.
Yeah, this was one of the first times. I mean, obviously, there's been like full body like Sesame Street characters, like in some other parks, Hershey Park or whatever. Mm-hmm. But as far as the Muppets go, I mean, this was like the first time that they were going to be like on stage without a puppeteer, full body. So that was a big first time thing. So then Jim Henson and all the gang wanted to be there to make sure that it was done right and that the Muppets were treated as they should be, with respect, but also they were still able to be funny and wacky, nutty, whatever they were doing.
Sure.
And which, we felt pretty much worked out that way. I mean, it was, excuse me, it was really a thrill to get to do that.
Excellent. And this was, a lot of people think that the Muppets were here opening day as part of MGM Studios, but that's not the case. Here Come the Muppets, you said you were at the Great Movie Ride, so I believe it was about a year after the park actually opened. And where that theater is where the Voyage of the Little Mermaid sits now. And then the Muppet Vision actually didn't open until 2 years after the park opened.
Right.
And both shows were open for a little bit of an overlay, if I'm to believe Muppet Wikipedia there. But were you behind the scenes? Did you interact? Did you share space with people that were working on the tram tour, or there still would have been animators here at the time? Did you have interactions with those people?
We didn't really have any crossover. We were all, our theater was in that animation courtyard, which was us. There was the entrance to the backstage tour, there was the animation tour, and then there was the restaurant, I believe, that was on the other side.
Yep.
And
buffet. I ate there one time.
So we had our own entrance, our own big giant green room full of Muppets, and it was funny because they would load the audiences into the theater, and then once they got closed, then we would have to scurry from our green room across through the lobby and to backstage, so that we didn't have direct access to backstage. So it was always kind of funny watching Muppets scurry across as soon as they got in. And another thing, as far as this, that helped, that occurred to me with the whole first time for a full body, is that that's one of the main reasons that this first show in the park was inside. So it was very much controlled, very much a controlled environment. I mean, there were some effects in the theater as well, but I mean, we never, the characters never went outside.
Right.
Very rarely. I mean, on a very rare occasion would you ever see one of the Muppets outside.
Photo ops and stuff.
And they also made it very clear to us that if I was there with Fozzie one day and we did happen to go outside for something, that I was never to allow Fozzie to take a picture with Mickey Mouse.
Oh.
Because
interesting.
They were different worlds.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, I mean, that changed. But
not owned
back
by
then,
Disney
it was
at the
like
time.
no pictures with a Muppet and a Disney character.
Yeah.
Or a Muppet and a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, which came along later. But because they're like different brands and they were not supposed to cross over. Indiana Jones, no.
Yeah.
Chewbacca, no.
Right.
But Muppets had to only be with Muppets, except under very, very rare circumstances. I have a picture that was once, they did a picture for, I don't even know what it was. It was some sort of promotional picture. And it was taken in front of the animation courtyard, the big archway.
Right.
And they had done in front, Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, blah, 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 blah. Over here, they had Piggy in her Cadillac, and like a Kermit and Fozzie. And then they had Indiana Jones coming down on a thing. And then they had the Turtles van over here.
Yeah.
So it was like all of these characters in this photo shoot. So it was really, and I still have one of those. Don't tell anybody.
Right.
But very, very rare. That was really verboten back then. I mean, it's not as much anymore. I mean, because Disney owns Muppets. So.
Indeed, yeah. I know that you hear the story being told that Jim was very adamant about, if he was going to sell the Muppets, it would just be the Muppets,
right.
No Sesame Street or anything else like that. So yeah, I could see where that would probably even sort of play into those discussions with Mr. Eisner there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And once they now, did you? How long were you there with Here Come the Muppets?
I mean, it opened in '90 sometime, probably that summer, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like June.
And I mean, I think I was doing it regularly for about a year, And then I started helping out with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles shortly after that. And then I can't remember how long Here Come the Muppets actually ran, because at one point that closed, and then they opened the Muppets on Location, which was an outdoor show, back on the New York Street area.
Back by Mount
And
Melrose,
that's when they were putting in the Voyage of the Little Mermaid 1.0 into that space, because that's closed, but now I guess it's coming back. I don't know. But
word on the street.
yeah, I think I did it consistently. That was my regular full-time helping, gig to be there with Fuzzy for, 5 days a week, and it was like about a year, I think.
Excellent.
A long time ago.
And you said you were also close friends with Animal as well?
Yeah, I mean, after I was there with Fozzie for a while, I got to be buddies with Animal, and got to work with him, and he was pretty fun. I mean, as if you know Animal, he's very unrestrained.
Sure.
And it was really kind of fun to work with him and just be a little more of the blah, 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 the whole time, and just kind of not worry about having really help with lines or anything. It was just, playing the drums and being a wacky nut.
An animal, indeed. And you were saying earlier that, and I didn't realize that might have been one of the very first, I don't know, I call them like mascot costumes, but it would have been one of the very first ones that had mouth movements.
Yeah, it was because at that point in time, Disney has toyed with having moving mouths and stuff in recent history. But back then, these full-body Muppets on stage, their mouths moved. And, there was a track, with the music and the voices on it. And the folks that worked with them, each Muppet, had a control that would, open and close the mouth. It wasn't perfect, but, it was definitely novel. It was something that was different, and it was the first time. And, everybody approved it. So, it was not a perfect system. The mechanics of it weren't always the best, and sometimes having to be replaced. And because, we couldn't really let the Muppets go on stage and have one of them mouth not moving. Everybody else is blah, blah, blah. And they're like, that didn't work out so well.
Interesting. And was it the mechanism to make the mouth moves built into the hand, or was it like the Sweetums where one of the hands is like a dead hand and
there was actually a control that was held in the hand that was almost likened unto like one of those hand exercisers or like a bicycle brake that would when you would squeeze it, that would open and close the mouth. So basically there was one hand that was usable and the other one was still, you could move it around, but it was had to control the mouth, which you couldn't see from the outside. But.
Interesting. Now I did see the show once. I've since watched it again on YouTube, and the most memorable part to me, even when I was a younger kid, was the ending with the monorail crashing into the theater there, which of course made no sense geographically, but making sense doesn't make anything in the Muppets world go around there. So, all right, so I need to go back and rewatch the video again, because my thought was the big finality was the monorail crashing on stage, but it was actually the beginning of the show. You're saying,
right?
Okay.
Yeah, when it first started, I believe there was some sort of a projection, like of a TV screen. Yeah, there was it was like a video phone. That's what it was. Yeah. And I believe Lily Tomlin's character, Ernestine, was like she was calling into Kermit or something.
One ringy dingy, two ringy dingy.
Right. And then to begin the show, rumble, 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 and the nose of the monorail crashes on from house left or stage right. And then the front opens up, and then all the Muppets just pile out onto the stage.
Okay.
And from what I understood, that was an original nose of a monorail.
Oh, wow.
That, not much of one, but
repurposed.
Enough of it. But yeah, that was like the initial entrance for everybody. It was for the monorail, yeah.
And yeah, definitely the connection with the Lily Tomlin character, which so much of that, when the park first opened, so many celebrities at the time were a part of the show. I remember one section of the backlot tour was hosted by Mel Gibson and Paul Rubens, or actually Paul Rubens as Pee-wee. So yeah, any chance they had to integrate actual celebrities into a show, that's funny. I need to go back and watch it again and relive the the merry mayhem that was Here Come the Muppets.
I'm pretty sure there were at least one other or two other celebrities that came up on that video phone, but maybe at least one other one, but I can't remember right now who it was.
Did they interact with? But Mickey wasn't part of the show at all. Like he.
Well, Mickey may have showed up on the video.
Yeah.
I think some Disney character did. I'm not sure who it was. If it was Mickey or probably.
Yeah. The big cheese.
The big cheese. Yeah. I believe he was on the video phone as well. And like Kermit had a big giant phone thing that he would hold and talk to them.
Right.
I remember.
And then you said you got to meet Jim Henson. Did you have like a one-on-one? He was there as the group? Or?
Well, I mean, it was a long time ago. But, I mean, we did all get to meet him.
Sure.
And he was, just as a wonderful person as you've always heard, and so friendly and supportive, and you can just tell what a mind was behind those glasses. Creative but so really fun and caring and sweet, and then and the other original puppeteers, I couldn't tell you the names right now, but pretty much all of them were there. I mean, I'm sure Frank Oz was there. That's the one that I can think of. But all of the original ones were there, at least for part of the training when everybody was learning the show. It was very unfortunate that literally days before the show opened was when Jim passed. So it was quite a blow. Everybody, and because he had been there and we had all been working with him, and don't ask me details because I don't know. None of us ever knew he was sick. But I mean, I remember they told everybody and they let us all go home because it was just, and then like for the next several days there were flowers and stuff, because I remember the Chinese theater where his and Kermit's handprints, which I assume are still there. And there were, flowers and memorials and all kinds of stuff, which was incredibly sweet. It's just another one of those great creative minds that was taken too early, but luckily we still have, they're still around, and Muppets and Sesame Street and all that. I mean, his son, I think, has been the keeper of most of that. His daughter has done a lot of puppeteering work, even locally.
Yeah, she's the Orlando area there. She was.
It's kind of like a once upon a time, one time in a million that someone like him is going to come along, but it's it's preserved.
Indeed, we're lucky to have lived in a time frame where we had Jim Henson as part of our childhood and
in retrospect, I mean, it was a real blessing that I was there. I mean, I could have very easily not have been, but it was really, really cool.
And then you also, as you had mentioned earlier, got to spend some time with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which had a, what would you call it, a show? I guess it was a small show at least, right?
Show. I was not a fan of them previous to them coming to the parks, but then they came for a limited amount of time, and they had there was like a kind of like a stage, almost like the back of a truck or something. I don't know. It wasn't very big, and it was back in the New York street area. And the Turtles they had like a space backstage somewhere, and they would come in on their yellow van with April O'Neil, and go up on the stage, and they would do about maybe like a 90-second routine with like ninja moves, and there was a dialogue and music. And then they would come down and go to separate areas and do meet and greets and sign autographs and stuff, and then we'd go back up on the stage and do a little thing to wrap it all up, and then hop back in the van and off they go.
And which turtle were you closest to at the time?
Well, I began being really great friends with Leonardo. And I mean, I got to be friends with all of them.
All right.
But I would say mostly with Leonardo and Michelangelo.
All right.
Because they all had their different personalities. I mean, Leonardo was more of like the leader, smart, but Michelangelo, was like the crazy, wacky
party dude.
And that was one of the things that I did grow to really like about the Turtles, is that they were not Disney characters.
Yeah.
So, and again, they were never supposed to be photographed with Disney characters. But as not being Disney characters, they were able to cut up a little bit more, not to do anything inappropriate, of course, but, just act like teenagers.
Yeah.
And, and cut up with guests and stuff, and a little bit more than would be appropriate for a Disney character.
Fun. And, I mean, just coming as a guest during that time, excuse me, it seems like for many, the heyday of, or at least when, we still had that blending of it actually being a real production studio. And is there anything that you saw maybe behind the scenes that you just had to sort of pinch yourself every now and again to be like, we're doing something special here, or was it just work as usual? I know everything behind the scenes here at Walt Disney World has a tinge of magic to it. Yeah. Should you be allowing yourself to get into that? But is there any one thing in particular where you had to go, here I am?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of those things, one would be like that photograph that I mentioned with like all of these characters that are never seen together, all in
Roger
one photograph.
Rabbit moment.
Yeah. And Roger was in that as well.
Yeah.
But something else that just jumps to mind is that the entertainment department that I worked with at that point in time, they don't really do it anymore, I don't think. We would have a banquet every year, a character banquet. It would just be like for our department with like the different characters and the people that work with them and everything. And it's just like something to do once a year, and maybe there was some awards and people would perform, blah, 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 so this whole thing. Usually there would be someone would get together and make some kind of a video for fun. Well, one year, someone made a video, and on the backstage studio tour, they had this giant bee that was from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, that like the kids ride. And it was part of the tour. It was like, a guest would sit up on top of it and they would film it, and it would look like he's riding a giant
green
bee.
screen thing, demonstration.
Well, someone got a Disney character or two, perhaps Piggy and Kermit, Chewbacca, and they were all riding the bee, and it was very cute and very funny, nothing inappropriate.
Right.
But it was just not something you would ever see.
No.
And I wish I had access to that.
Nice.
To see all my friends riding this bee. The bee isn't not there anymore, I don't believe.
No.
But it was just something that was really fun that all the characters got to do behind the scenes just for each other and for fun, and again, nothing inappropriate or anything. It was just, hey, let's ride this bee and take a picture of it. So that's kind of something that I remember. That was a really cool memory that, I don't have any pictures of it or anything. I wish
if anybody
I did.
does, I'm sure it's
But I wish
cherished.
I did. But it's just one of the things you can just remember.
Do you have many pictures or any videos of your time?
I certainly don't have any videos. I mean, I do have a picture of me with Fozzie in the show that I had put in a collage for my parents.
Okay.
That I now have the collage. And so that's like, offhand, that's the only thing I can think of that's a picture of me with Fozzie. I may have some when I was with the Turtles. I know I do. I have a picture of him with the Turtles with my parents visiting. Just as like, I have a picture of me with Mayor Mayhew at Grinchmas with my parents when they came to visit once when I was working with him.
And you were the original in that show, the early versions of Grinchmas when the mayor was still part of it.
There was two of us. There was me and another guy. We were the original Mayor Mayhews in the very first Grinchmas show at Islands of Adventure.
Yeah.
And it was on a tiny, tiny stage about this big, right in front of the bookstore.
Yeah. And then they moved it to the left over that little...
Yeah, now it's in a soundstage. It's very high-tech.
Exactly.
But then, no.
Top of the line.
But,
and now, if you were to see videos of Here Come the Muppets, would you be able to tell if that was you or not, or it's all
probably if I watched it enough, I could, because I mean, it was all choreographed, and you couldn't go too far out.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's possible. I mean, probably I could tell myself more when I was working with Turtles than with the other, because, like I said, the Turtles were a little bit more flexible as far as what they could do. Right. But then again, I remember that people would say, because you could act out different as a turtle, that people would not readily recognize somebody that was maybe very quiet and reserved. But when they were working with a turtle, they could be all wacky and nutty and, hey, cowabunga dude and all of that, which is very unlike them.
Right.
which I got that sometimes. But it was really fun to do that because, nobody.
Yeah, you're behind the veil, behind the ninja mask, as it were. Excellent. Well, I certainly appreciate you telling us about your time with the Muppets here at Disney's Hollywood Studios, and maybe they come back around. We can discover more stories. The Muppets never really ever kicked out of the Hollywood Studios. They're always just moved to a different location there. So
Moving right along.
Yeah, footloose and
it's
fancy
nice
free.
to, think about all those. I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was one of those kind of lightning strike things that, they'll be around and other people will have their experiences with them. But I mean, that original time, that'll never happen again. And so it's nice to think about. I mean, it's, some friends that I still have from then and some that I don't. And, it's a nice, but it's all really good memories. Lastly, they gave all of the folks that were helped with the original a nice framed print, and it says, "Here Come the Muppets," opening cast, and it has all of the signatures of Kermit, Janice, everybody.
Oh, wow.
And then it's signed, from Kermit. And there's actually a bite taken out of the upper corner that was animals that I still have, which is a really treasured thing.
I'm sure. That's awesome. Well, thank you again for your time, sir. Much love as always.
My pleasure.
And moving right along, as I said.
All right. Thanks.